What are you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy BucketHatSam, and yes, we are back for episode 4. It is BucketHatSam Talks Ball, and I nearly forgot the name again. I don't know why I keep forgetting. We've done 4 episodes, and every time I forget my name. Anyway, we have got on for his hat trick. He's here. I was supposed to sort him out a bucket hat, or even just a match ball or something, but it will happen eventually. Mike is back, guys. Mike is on the pod. Anyway, I know. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm really disappointed that I haven't got a bucket hat in the post, like a personalised one, preferably with 3 little pods on or something.
Oh, no, I couldn't give you that every time. You have a little sewn little like circle or something. We can sort you out with a bucket hat. I've got too many, to be honest. So I'll give you one of my least favourite ones if you fancy it. You never know. Surely you can get an Arsenal one sorted for yourself. Surely there must be someone.
Yeah, I could. I don't know if the bucket is your thing, isn't it? I can't really rock up on your podcast with a bucket hat on.
Mate, you can just join the Bucketeers, the long line of people who are just fun. Anyway, but we're going to get in straight away. I want to start off, go straight in on it. I've had a couple of requests. People don't really know much about me and you, and I know this is about football. So I thought, let's just talk about football in our lives. So, Mike, I want to ask you straight away, who do you support and who's your favourite player? Let's let people know a bit about you, the man, because I know everything about you, but no one else does. And no one knows anything about me, so we'll get on to me after, but you go for it.
So I support Arsenal, which is a bit strange for someone living in the West Midlands, but that was just a decision that was made very early in my life, and I've stuck to it ever since. My favourite player is probably the reason I support Arsenal is because when I was a little kid, for whatever reason, I must have been about 5, 6, I was just drawn to Freddie Ljungberg's Red Mohican. That was just like...
Hey, sorry, that was not what I was expecting then.
I was just like, yeah, as a 5 or 6-year-old, I was like, yeah, how cool is that? I wish every footballer had a Red Mohican. And then because of that, why are you laughing? I don't know why.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say Freddie Ljungberg. I thought, do you know what he's going to say? When he was 6 or something, he loved the way he drove with the ball, or he was just attracted to his style of play. I was thinking, geez, you're a switched on little kid, but not, I didn't, you were the last person I thought would say I was attracted to like red hair. They're like, I don't know why it's made me chuckle so much. I didn't know that. That's hilarious. Sorry, carry on.
Then, so obviously I was obsessed with Freddie as a kid, and then I started watching football, learning more about football as a kid that loved to pass the ball, watching that Arsenal team in the early 2000s when they were at the peak of their powers was just like, that was it then. I was hooked. I was Arsenal for life then, and have been since.
Okay, I sort of get that then. That makes sense. That is funny though. I don't know why that surprised me so much about the red hair, but no, I do get what you're saying. I've watched highlights, especially in lockdown, the highlights of Arsenal in that time that you're talking about. Wow, the football they played, I can imagine. Like, that was unreal. Like,
yeah, it was coming off the back of a double in '98, and obviously I probably started watching like 2001, 2002, taking like more notice in football as I got older, and that was just when Henry had arrived, Bergkamp was in his prime, Pires and Ljungberg joined as well. So yeah, it was amazing to watch.
I was going to say, when I was asking you who your favourite player was, we haven't practiced this. I had no idea, and I was thinking I was going to try and put a little bet on, because I was thinking the amount of players you could have chosen from in that squad. I thought I would have had you down as an Henry kind of boy, but fair play. I like it.
Henry is the king, but as a child, it was always Freddie Ljungberg. Henry is the GOAT, but yeah, Freddie Ljungberg was the one that started it all with the Red Mohican.
I feel like I'm trying to think. When you hit say we should set a target for the channel, and if it hits that target, you have to get the Red Mohican. That's what I need to try and
It'd have to be a pretty big target.
How big are we talking?
Wow.
You don't want to say, do you? Because no matter what you say,
I don't want to put a number on it.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3 million subscribers.
3 million. Well, okay, I can confirm, guys, Mike will not be having a Red Mohican. As big as I think this can get, maybe, who knows? You might be in your 60s getting a Red Mohican. Who knows?
Have faith in the Bucketeers.
The Bucketeers. We need to get. Okay, then, guys, get your friends subscribing, because we need to get Mike that Red Mohican. I thought it'd be brilliant. Seeing you play on a Sunday league with a Red Mohican, that'd be hilarious. You get absolutely snapped. But guys, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself now and my footballing stuff, because I know I actually don't give my opinion. Like, Mike takes the mick, I sit on the fence and things. But I'm a West Brom fan. through and through. Sadly, I can't talk about the great football I've seen in my life. It has been good, to be fair. I've been blessed in kind of when I was around from about 7, I'd say maybe 10 or so onwards. We were in the Premier League for a long time, which is a pretty good thing to be able to say. My favourite player, one of the greatest players of all time, Jonas Olsen. And I think I've made that pretty clear on this channel. I am planning to get him on this. And if he comes on, Mike will be booted off instantly for Olsen.
That's fair enough.
Or you could join, man. You could join. Like, they'd be brilliant just to witness greatness. You talk about Lundberg, but then there's Lundberg, and then there's Jonas Olsen. Like, you've got to understand the levels.
Let's get both of them on together.
That's a good. We'll get Jonas on, and they'll say, "Mate, can you sort us out with Freddie? That'd be brilliant." But no, that would be funny. I plan to get him on. He has said he will come on, and that is confirmed. And I don't know. He said this year, which was in COVID, but I'm going to keep pressing him on it. So I'm probably going to send him this, but no. And I want to ask you then another question about you and your football knowledge and everything. Who was your favourite non-Arsenal player then? Just so people can kind of get to grips with your way.
You asked me this before, and I've been thinking over it for a good hour now, and I still can't pick one out, really. Because
it's a really horrible question.
There's a few players that like I adored growing up. First one that came into my mind was Francesco Totti, the one club man at Roma. He was amazing to watch. Like, it was mercurial. Like, he didn't look interested half the time, and then he'd just turn up and do something absolutely magical that not many players could do. The fact he stayed at Roma his whole career, he played until he was 14, he was good. So he was probably the first name that came in my head. And then I kept thinking, I was like, oh, who influenced me as a kid? And then the two that I picked out of those would be Gerrard and Pirlo. Because that was when I properly started to like find out about football, know about football, watch football properly. And seeing Gerrard in his prime, just bossing the midfield every single game. He did everything well. well. And then Pirlo was just so elegant and classy. He never broke sweat. He never sprinted. He just waltzed around the pitch, and he was just special as well. And in some of the best teams that I've seen, like that AC Milan team that won the Champions League was ridiculous. The Italy team that won the World Cup, just full of amazing players. So those three.
I rate that. I thought Messi was going to enter that top three, but
here we go. Messi, and then I thought it's got to be Messi.
I knew it was coming.
Who else could it be? The best players that ever walked the earth.
I knew you'd have to get in a little dig at those United fans that came on last week and like were commenting that Ronaldo is better than Messi. I knew you wanted to get a little dig at them. I knew you see the way you did it. You didn't just say Messi's my favourite. You had to say he's the best player on to walk this earth. I knew what you were doing. I knew exactly what you're doing. You got to rate it. Pirlo was such a good shout. I don't know why he didn't come into my mind earlier.
There's a few others. I loved watching Kaka as well, but his prime wasn't like long enough, was it? He didn't get to pan at Real Madrid, but those all stand out.
There's some good names there, and that my favourite non-players now they're nowhere near that calibre, and mine are just for different reasons. So I feel like I kind of should just leave mine out for a bit. Then.
Is yours like Kenwyne Jones?
No, Kenwyne Jones. Ricardo Fuller. No, it's nothing like that. No, mine was similar. Like I was going to be talking about the likes of in recent years, players I've been seeing in recent years, which have kind of I've absolutely adored. The likes of your Neymars, your likes of, and I've obsessed with watching Messi and Ronaldo and players like that more so in recent years because my love for football has grown as I've got older. Like I liked it as a kid, but it was more so playing. It was in recent years with the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, and Mbappe, Neymar. Those kind of players have made me just be obsessed about football. But there you go, guys. Now you know a bit about us. Now you know.
You didn't actually name one then.
I did. I just named those guys. I can't name my actual player because you'll take the mick. I've said it on this channel before. It's Kai Havertz. I love the bloke.
Oh no!
I've said it before. I watched him play when he was at Bayer Leverkusen.
I can't believe you've thrown that in there.
I've told you this before. I've said it on this channel. I've got so much stick for it before. I still believe this guy has got the potential to be the best player on this planet. Some of the games I watched him play, I will stick by it. And it's such a bad take. I know it. And he's not doing me a favour, guys. King Kai, I love him, but he's just not hit the standards I thought he would. And I'm sticking by it. It's like my West Brom kind of like are going to get promoted kind of statement, where slowly it's fading away. And I realise it's not going to happen, but I've got to stick to my guns. I can't back against it. Kai Havertz. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying it. You just talked about Pirlo and Kaka, and I've just come in with Kai Havertz. Or what is
Outrageous.
Oh. Well, yeah, we'll scoot over that and we'll move on to. I was quite worried again this week, looking at kind of things were going on. I was thinking nothing's going on, and then all of a sudden, Man United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just delivers every week. I swear we talk about him every single week, but I think this is going to be the last time we talk about him. Obviously, he has been sacked this week. Where I want to start just specifically on the sacking itself. Do you think it was the right decision? I know you're going to say no because you want him to stay in.
I am gutted. I'm gutted for Ole. I'm gutted for all football fans out there that aren't United fans, because this now means that this comedy few years of Man U has come to an end. So it's a very sad day, first and foremost. And Ole was sad as well with his little tears. So everyone's very sad.
It was a very emotional. That was very emotional, that interview. If you haven't seen it, guys, it's just what I think. I thought it was quite sweet. I'd say, like, it was very emotional.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. It's just when he cried as he said Michael Carrick, which made me laugh because I can imagine it's the way he said it. The clips are brilliant for it. But do you think, though, like non-biased now, not talking about football fans in general, do you think? I'm presuming you think it was the right decision. Surely you do.
Oh yeah, of course. You can't not think this was the right decision, really.
I was just double checking.
It should have gone the start of the season, halfway through last season, and the fact they've just delayed it. We don't really know why. I don't know if the way Man U is being run now is just that shambolic. And like, why would you wait until after the international break? You've given one game after a 2-week break and he's instantly gone. It makes no sense. Now they're panicking. They're panicking, looking around, trying to find someone. Well, they could have just done that for 2 weeks if they'd have done it before.
Yeah, I don't get it, because it's not like we all knew that the problems that the reason why they've sacked him, it's not like they've just kind of been sprung upon us. This has been going on for like a significant amount of time. Man United have been this kind of joke and this meme of a club recently. We all knew this was coming. As literally, as you said, I don't understand. About 2-3 weeks ago, it might have been longer. It's probably longer than that now. Looking back, a wise man in Antonio Conte was free as a manager, and I still believe he would have been perfect for that job, because I still don't think he's right for Tottenham, but I think Man United would have been perfect for him. The money they'd have been able to throw, because Man United throw money at the club, and it'd be Antonio Conte perfect. They would suit so well. I don't get the vision. And then obviously now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked, and they've kind of put in place Michael Carrick, as we've said, or Michael Carrick, as we'll call him now. But what do you make of it? What do you think it's? Do you get the decision? Like, before we even talk about the interim manager and things, what about Michael Carrick taking charge for temporarily? What do you think of it?
I don't think they had much choice, really, because like we said, it happened on the back of an absolutely atrocious defeat to Watford. Like, you deserve to be sacked, but then it's instant. It's the next day. So they haven't really got a plan in place. So it has to be Carrick. It has to be someone that's already there that knows the club. Yeah. So, and I'm guessing he hasn't got much expectation on him to deliver results. He's just there to steady the ship, keep the players' morale quite high, and then do a decent enough job until they do find the right candidate. But that's the question. It's who is the right manager for this job? Who is out there that
interim wise,
that jumps off the page? And that was a strange one about the official statement. So they've got Carrick until they appoint an interim manager.
Until the end of the season.
Why are you not just appointing, unless this is part of a bigger plan, but why are you not looking to appoint a manager?
So quite clearly, what I took from this, because I looked at it and had like a really delve quite deep into this, you know what I'm like, and I tried to think about what they're trying to say here, and I think quite clearly they have a manager in like, either they've already spoken to a manager or they have a manager who they believe they will get in the summer. I can't see what other message, because Man United aren't ridiculous. Their board must be slightly switched on in some sense. That they have a plan in the big picture. That I believe that in the summer they have got a manager in line, whether that's Pochettino or Ten Hag. I don't understand what else they could have been doing with you trying to explain to me what else, other than that, what else can you take from it?
I don't know really. That surprised me a bit about the interim manager, because I thought Carrick would be the interim manager, and if they were waiting until the end of the season, I'd have put money on it being Carrick.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you'd give it Carrick to then look for an interim, because then that's just more turnover. It's more different ideas before. If you do have this big plan, a manager coming in and imposing his style on the team, but then it's just more turnover. It's more, I don't know, there's a lot more reason to go wrong.
Yeah, because especially if they're trying to bring this side together and trying to create this togetherness and this whole big team, because Man United were a force. When you look at Sir Alex Ferguson's sides in the past, this Man United team that we've all got, this ideal that they have, is it's not always the strongest side, but it's the most, like the system, everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and it's a really tight-knit squad. Whereas right now, I don't think they've got anything like that whatsoever. And if they're getting in managers, 3 managers in one season potentially, I don't understand how that's going to help this tight-knit squad whatsoever. I think all it's going to do is disjoint the squad, because who knows who's going to be playing every week. And as you said, the system and the styles, it doesn't make sense to me.
I was listening, I think it's to radio earlier as well, and they were saying how much of an influence is Ferguson having here, because he's clearly still involved with the club. He's sat in the director's box every game. He was very close with Solskjaer and actually stood up for him a few times when he was under pressure publicly. Yeah. So is the Carrick and Fletcher thing to do with Ferguson? But they didn't really have anyone else to bring in. And then it's all very confusing, because if Ferguson is having control, surely he'd want Carrick and people there that know the club in charge until they get a big manager.
I cannot get my head around it. It just makes no. It just baffles me. The more as we talk about it, the more clueless we are. The more you talk about it, the more you just think that I can't. The more I think about it, the more it just confuses me. I don't get where they're going with this. But then, even if with the interim manager, like even just specifically the interim manager, can you name anyone right now?
No.
When I looked at kind of the candidates that were on the list, who you believe realistically can come into Man United, and is it 6 months until June, May time, 5 or 6 months? Sorry, I keep forgetting what month we're in. I keep thinking it's the new year. I just want to get past Christmas. I just want to get past Christmas.
Well, it's half 6, 7 months. Isn't it, effectively?
Yeah, half a season left. Who realistically would come in for half a season and are to Man United's level?
I don't think there is anyone. Well, who would want to do it knowing in 6 months you're out the door regardless of the job you do? Because that's effectively what they're saying.
Unless you're a manager who wants a big step up and then can get this on their CV and said, I had 6 months at United, but you're not going to be able to get a good caliber of manager in, because no big manager like Zidane that people are talking about, for example, I know it's not going to happen, but why would somebody of that caliber of manager come in for 6 months knowing they're going to be booted out the door? It'd be absolutely ludicrous. It makes no sense. I don't get it. And
I wouldn't even know what names to throw out there as an interim. Would it be like Rooney? Would it be someone in an international job like Martinez? We spoke about with the Villa job, but could he do it? Because it's a big club for 6 months, try and maybe get himself a longer term contract like Solskjaer did. But then it's just surely
United will have learned from that. I don't think for a second, if this manager in the 6 months, I don't believe that. After what we've seen, how it's turned out with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't think if you take an interim manager, they have to stay as an interim manager, no matter how well they do. Whoever they've got in mind in the summer, we'll get on to who that could be. I believe they have to stick with them. They can't let this interim manager, because sides can get form. We've seen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, the form is up and down. They have got a very good squad. And we spoke about in previous weeks, one of the best squads in the league. So they are going to get form. It wasn't going right for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but if a manager comes in, any manager of any degree of now in the league will be able to get that side playing, because they have got good footballers. Like when you look at that squad, Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, and you look at Van der Beek playing now, Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo, Cavani, they have got a very good side. So I just hope they don't get blinded by this form that potentially could come in from this interim manager and give it them full time. But who then, realistically, let's skip to the summer then now. In the summer, who do you think realistically would be suitable for the job? Because there are a lot of names mentioned at the moment.
Yeah, so I got it up like the people that are highest in the betting earlier, just to have a look. So the names there are Poch, Rodgers, Carrick, Ten Hag, Blanc and Zidane, straight away I'm saying Carrick and Zidane and knows. Zidane's openly said he doesn't want it. He may as well have said, I don't want it. He doesn't want to live in England, Manchester, all that. I can't see it being Carrick long term. Poch, the fact that we've seen reports within a day saying he might be interested in Man U and he's not that happy at PSG, I think that speaks a lot. Because of all these history, the previous links Poch had with Man U when he was at Tottenham and all that, and like they thought he would have been the one after, or I can't remember, was it after Mourinho or Van Gaal? I can't remember. But
it was in that era, wasn't it? Yeah, that time.
Yeah. There's reports already coming out that he might be linked with it. I might lean towards Poch, but then I can also see Ten Hag would make a lot of sense if he wanted to do it. But that again is a risk. Someone coming from Dutch football.
Yeah.
Although he's got a lot of ideas and he's working wonders with Ajax, but the Dutch league, if you're given the Ajax team in the Dutch league, it's a big step up.
Who would you take then if you were on the board? Would you go for Poch then out of those lists? Not because I know your opinions on Brendan Rodgers, and if you want to state why you don't believe, because I'll come in after and to give you my opinion, but I know your opinions on Brendan Rodgers as a manager. But
I'd like to see Rodgers at Man U, because then I think it would be Solskjaer part 2. I think Brendan Rodgers is a decent manager. He's not an elite manager. And we've seen that. We saw that with Liverpool. He took them so far. He took them very close to his heart, but he still couldn't get over the line. We've seen now with his Leicester team, they look terrible compared to what they did. And even then, what did they do? They challenged for the top 4 and didn't get it.
Well, no, they just bottled it. They did just bottle it. They were in the top 4, weren't they, for the longest.
2 seasons in a row.
And they were last season in the top 4 for the longest.
I'm really not convinced by Brendan Rodgers as a manager over multiple seasons or even a season. I think he gets the team playing well. He spends a decent amount of money, but also like, at the end, what does he actually achieve?
Yeah, I think when you compare to that list of managers, I completely agree. I don't think he's on that level. I think potentially with Ten Hag, I think that could be quite an interesting suit, because obviously with his Ajax team, it's extreme high pressure football, and they've got.
I can't see that working with this squad.
That's what I was going to get on to. There's a few players who could potentially work, like Jadon Sancho, for example. Jadon Sancho in that Dortmund side last year was one of the most successful pressers in the midfield in all of Europe. He was unreal in that pressing role. And there are a couple of players that would suit that. When you look at Van der Beek as well, there are a few players that you could imagine could work in that. Greenwood, and I actually think Fred probably would seem a little bit better in that system, because he's got a lot of energy. And I think a few players, like a bit of the core of that side, would really be suited to it. But then it's the players like Cavani and your likes of Ronaldo, and the likes of Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. I think he can press a bit, but he's not on their level. But I think that could potentially be suited. But I completely agree with you what you're saying. I think Pochettino is the most. I think it's the best suited decision at the time. But I just can't. I know you're saying about being the linked, and I might sound deluded, because I said this about Steven Gerrard and I couldn't see it happening. And I got a slap in the face last week when I said there's no chance he's going, because I don't get it. I wouldn't get why Pochettino would leave, because PSG right now, I get it, the league isn't great. There's not much competition, and he's only in the job to win the Champions League. But he's in the beautiful city of Paris. He's got an absolutely unreal depth of squad. He's got as much finances as he wants. It's kind of the perfect. Most managers would bite your hand off for that job, because it is a bit of a breeze throughout the season. The most respect I can give, and then it's the big games on like your Wednesday and your Tuesday nights in the Champions League. But obviously, as you said, he keeps getting linked to the Premier League. He got linked with Tottenham, and he's been linked with Man United. There must be some substance to it, or it could be just fake news, absolutely doing us over. But I think I agree with you with Pochettino being probably one of the best suited for the job.
I get what you're saying about PSG, and obviously, who wouldn't want to manage that squad and those like 3 of the best players in the world up front? But this is just a gut feeling. I don't know why, but I think Poch might not like that style of management, because if you look at like Neymar and his history at Paris, and like it's a bit of like, it's almost like looking after a child at times. And like Mbappe wants to go, we all know that he wants to go.
Well, he's leaving. Yeah,
he's probably off to Madrid. So maybe he's looking at it and be like, do I actually want this, or do I want something where I can build, and he knows if he doesn't deliver in the Champions League, he's probably sacked, and he'll get a lovely payout on that. But do you want that when you've got mediocre opposition in the league? Maybe he wants a challenge. And if you look at what he did with Tottenham, bringing people through, they had a really good team spirit. Like, they will work for each other. I think the fit at United makes a lot of sense for him. And I do just wonder if he's a little bit unhappy at PSG. And does he want to work with Neymar and Messi? I'm not sure.
Doesn't it feel crazy saying, does somebody want?
Does,
I get what you're saying, but even when you say it, it sounds absolutely ridiculous as a line. But one thing I think that we underestimate is if he does go to Man United, I think Man United, you might think this is ridiculous. I think it is the most high pressure job in Europe. It's because obviously they are the biggest club in the world, and I still believe that the brand image and everything with them, they compete with your likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona. They are absolutely huge. They are.
This is why I'm finding it a bit strange about United, because they are the biggest club in the world globally, fan base, attention, all of that. It's them in Real Madrid. They are. So why is it so? Since Ferguson's left, obviously they've had multiple people. Why is it that none of the top managers want to go there? There's got to be a reason.
But this is what
is it just pressure, or is it the ownership? Is it?
Obviously, I think there are a lot of people moan about the ownership, but there's one thing they have done. Yes, they've taken a lot of money out of Man United, but the amount they've invested, when you look in the last 10 years, they are still up there with Cities and your Chelseas, the highest spenders. They spend so much, it is unreal, and their wage bills are absolutely insane. But I just think it's because of them being so big. I think it's quite a daunting job. As much as a lot of people say, yeah, it's a brilliant job, but it's so scrutinized. And we look at it in the media. You look at the front page every week, or you look at sports news, it's always Man United there. You're literally scrutinised to every little minuscule amount. Every decision you make, whether you make substitutions, it is scrutinised in the media. You watch Match of the Day, no matter what, they are usually the first team to play. I think when you look at it, I think it's because it's such high pressure and such high demand. And because no one's got to the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson's level since they've left, I just think it's quite a daunting and too big a role for a lot of managers. And we've seen some big managers, like Jose Mourinho, one of the biggest egos. This guy got knocked down a peg by Man United. We've seen Van Gaal. A lot of big managers have tried to take on the job, and it's not worked out.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because obviously the bar that Ferguson has set is probably unattainable for anyone in the modern, in this version of football we have today. Yeah. But for them to not win anything other than, is it an FA Cup and a Europa League? What?
Well, that was Van Gaal won the FA Cup or the League Cup, and then Jose Mourinho won the Europa League, didn't they? And since then, there's been nothing since Jose Mourinho.
And look, with the amount of money they've spent, like you said, that's just unacceptable. And are people I get what you're saying about the pressure, because the pressure is to win a trophy, but if they're not challenging at the top of the Premier League, they're not near to winning a trophy.
I know, I agree. And then not only that, it's the size of, you look at what players that Jose Mourinho bought in, they are still around this club. And Pogba, even though it's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's signing, players like Pogba, for example, I'm not using him as a scapegoat, but an example like Pogba, it's not his player, but he's scrutinised if he can't make Pogba work in a system. Whereas Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might not want to play him, but people talk about his price tag and about how he's the best player, and he's got to take on kind of the rubble that has been left and the explosion behind. He's got to sweep up, and it's constant. Everything just gets dragged from manager to manager. It always seems to be the same problems, and it's the squad that is potentially left from the manager behind. And that's another thing. Like when you look at this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer side that they've built, we're going to see this whole thing change again when the next manager comes in. And there'll be a few core players which will stay in there. One I really can't wait for is Van der Beek. I'm so glad he played.
I agree.
I'm so glad he scored as well. It's so beautiful, metaphorical. It's gorgeous. I love it.
We saw glimpses of Ajax, of the player he could be, and he just hasn't even been given an opportunity since, which is actually the United fans are upset about it, and rightly so, because he had all the signs of a really good top quality midfielder, all over the park.
Oh yeah, and if you Man United beat Real Madrid to his signing, you are not a bad player if you are not knocking off Real Madrid to sign a player. he is good, and we saw it in, obviously this Watford game's a bad example, but there were moments that I watched like the highlights of him specifically. Match of the Day kind of did go into a little bit of analysis of it. You saw the way he takes the ball, because of it, the way he's played in Ajax ball, the way they play. He will take the ball in any situation. He's so relaxed and casual on it. Will turn on it. He's not the bulkiest player, but because he's quite small and that lower center of gravity, he can literally just roll players like it's nothing. Both feet. I really like him as a player. And I think that's the one thing I think is good looking forward to the next manager, whoever takes over, or this interim manager, or even Carrick. It's mental saying 3 managers. 3 managers by June. It's crazy even saying that. But hopefully he gets a chance, because I think they've got some good players and that they just need to make this system work. And potentially this might be the last time we see McFred, which is crazy to think. It's a sad era to end. Like, I have enjoyed the memes. I've enjoyed laughing at United. But I'm as a non-Man United fan, and obviously we're not trying to compete, West Brom aren't, with Man United. So I'm all for more competition. I'm quite excited to see what comes of this new era. When there's a new manager coming in place, like with Antonio Conte, I'm excited to see what's going on there. And when these new managers come in, I'm excited to see what goes on, because it doesn't really affect me. I know it affects you, and but I'm quite excited to see what comes of this, because obviously it's either going to be an unreal or bad. That's a really obvious thing to say, but I can't see them staying at the level they are now. It will either potentially drop even further, or they could go up to the heights that the squad.
I can't see within a season and a half how they're going to have that big an improvement where they are, where they want to be. I just can't see it. I think they are at this level, and I think the same can be said for like Arsenal. Like, we're also on trying to get back to that level. Yeah. And I think United are, and I think it takes time. And we saw with like Liverpool, when they weren't at that level, they had to completely rebuild, and they had to go through multiple phases. To get back to competing for Premier League titles is a very long process.
Yeah, I think the main word is patience to take from it. I think as you're trying to talk about, when you talk specifically about you and Liverpool, is the Liverpool fans were patient with Klopp, weren't they? They saw the big picture, but the thing is, they saw the improvements, the foundation.
But it's not just with Klopp. It was like they saw improvement with Rodgers.
Oh yeah,
and
with Rodgers,
even slightly with like Hodgson, a tiny bit of improvement. Yeah. Like that's the thing. It's not just one manager that turns it. It's over like probably a decade or 5 to 7 years. Like it's a long process, because where they are at the moment, they're not good enough, even with that squad.
It's crazy, isn't it? I feel it's just, when you step back and actually think about it, like even in our lifetime, to think this is United that we're talking about, it's crazy, isn't it? It is absolutely mental.
It's great.
The more I think about it, the more mental I realise it is. And yeah, well, I think now let's hop on to our next topic. So I want to talk a bit European football. We don't actually cover it. We haven't covered anything other than the Premier League since you've been on. So Champions League tomorrow night. Obviously, the Championship is on as well. The Mighty Baggies are playing, but we're going to be talking about the second most important competition on a Tuesday night, the Champions League, as I've just said. So who do you think, realistically, early predictions, and I mean serious early predictions, who are you having down as winners? Who are you convinced by?
I've held the same opinion since the start of the tournament, and it hasn't changed now. And I think Bayern Munich are being overlooked, and I think they will win it. You just look at the squad depth they've got now. Obviously, they've brought in Nagelsmann, who has like an immaculate record with Leipzig. You put him in the Bayern job with all of those players. He then brings Upamecano and Sabitzer with him.
It's just ridiculous.
The squad they've got is just insane. Obviously, they're playing a higher intensity football now, quicker pace football, more attacking. With the weapons they've got, I don't know how any team could compete with them. On their day, it's just ridiculous. You've got, obviously, and I like the blend they've got there now. So you've got your established, obviously Lewandowski's in the form of his career and cannot stop scoring goals.
You don't even need to explain him. You just say Lewandowski. You just need to simply just leave it as that.
Scoring like 40 goals a year. It's just ridiculous. Then it's the number of options they've got. So I'm just going to reel a few off of the established stars. You've got Sane, Gnabry, Muller, Goretzka and Kimmich. Kimmich and Goretzka in the middle of the park is probably one of the best midfields outside of England.
I'd say potentially that's the. I personally think
And
that's the
with
best
Muller.
partnership midfield, the two centre midfielders, best partnership in the world right now.
And then Muller just in front is the way I love Muller as well. The way he's transformed his game over different like managers, different eras. What a player!
And with
what
age,
a player
he's realised that he's slowing down and things. Like, I love the way he plays.
So you've got all those older, experienced players that have been there, done it, won it all for Bayern. You've got the new ones, like I mentioned, Upamecano and Sabitzer. I don't know how much of a role they're going to have. They're going to find it hard to get in that team, really. And then you've got all the French. You've got 4 French internationals: Hernandez, Pavard, Tolisso, and Coman. Like the 2 starting fullbacks for France, they've got, and that's without mentioning like Alphonso Davies, who
it is stacked.
Who like won the Champions League, was a massive factor in them winning the Champions League last time. I just feel like the depth they've got, the manager as well, the intensity they're playing at, they'll probably steamroll the Bundesliga, and that's if they're 10 points clear going into the knockouts, they can just coast in the league, and then with the squad they've got, put all their eggs into the Champions League. I think they're going to be hard to stop, but it's a knockout tournament, so
yeah, that's my only thing with exactly anything can happen. I know what you're going to say with Bayern, and I completely agree with you. I think they are, if they're not the favourite, I think they are really the favourites. According to the bookies, they are the favourites, and the way they play, and obviously I love it. It's proper end-to-end football with them. That is the only thing we've seen in moments like we saw them play against PSG. I think it was last season Champions League, because it's so all-out attack. That is the only thing. I think, yes, they've kind of stacked their defence now, but they do sometimes leave themselves vulnerable. They can, because they will score more than a lot of sides. But I do think in a knockout competition, that sometimes can be extremely risky. And we've seen it in recent years where sides can just sit back and just counter the hell out of them. And we saw, I think it was PSG last year across the 2 legs. Was that, am I getting that wrong? Last year?
I think,
When they just left literally Mbappe up top and they just countered constantly. That is the only thing you find with Bayern, because they do control games. And in a knockout tournament, as you said, that is the only worry for them. But I think it is kind of their tournament to lose. But I'm going to try and go with a bit of an outsider then. And there's quite a few big teams still in it. Could this be Man City's year? We talk about every year that they have got a very strong squad. And at the moment, like when we saw them play against Everton this week, yes, they fell short against PSG. But at the moment, they are looking very, very strong. I think they're getting overlooked because of they're not being at the form that they were last season. But I still think they're a powerhouse. I think Liverpool.
I was going to come on to Liverpool.
Liverpool, I think Europe they're a beast. They are not. They are like, they take it to another level in Europe.
I think Liverpool would be my second pick, and I think they'll go far in the Premier League. But one thing that may hurt them in the league is that squad depth compared to City and Chelsea. And I think if they get 5, 7, 9, 10 points adrift in the league, all of a sudden their focus switches and it's just Champions League, and we know what they can do in the Champions League.
Oh yeah, literally at Anfield on a Wednesday night when the floodlights are on, you know that stadium's going to be rocky and the atmosphere is unreal. And you look, that famous night against Barcelona, like, you know, moments like that will happen with Liverpool. And I think they're a side that you can never sleep on them, whether they've got injuries or not. We've seen for some reason it's just Liverpool, isn't it? In Europe, they are, as I said, they are an animal. They are a beast. So I agree with them. I think more so than Man City. No, sorry, the other way around. I think Man City this year, I think because of Liverpool being so good, I feel like I just have a sneaky feeling they're being overlooked slightly. And we're not even spoken about PSG. PSG right now, I think this is their best chance of doing it right now, because they've got Messi in, a player who has done it, a player who is around that squad. My only worry for them, again, it's the balance of this squad. And that's the thing they've struggled with for so many years. They just buy individuals. But I think this is their biggest chance, in my opinion, because they will be losing Mbappe this summer. And without Mbappe, I don't think this side will succeed next year. I think this is their last chance, realistically, with this group of players, with Pochettino, but a manager who has failed at that final hurdle. That's my only worry for them. But I think PSG and Man City, for me, are my 2 favourites. I'm going to go something. I know you've gone Bayern and Liverpool. I'm going to go PSG and Man City. I think 2 sides which, again, are stacked. I think Man City more so are stacked, but it's that front 3. no matter how unbalanced they are, that three on their own, just you can't sleep on them. They are unreal.
I've got doubts about PSG, but like you said, if they turn it on with the players they've got, there is no hope for you. But like, I do question the gelling, because like Ramos and Messi, it was their first training session together this week.
Yeah.
And their two summer signings, they've only just trained together, and they didn't get on beforehand either. But if they do turn up, it is ridiculous. I think Messi's the biggest factor. A huge factor is having Donnarumma in goal, who is, in my opinion, clear as the best keeper in the world at the moment.
I completely agree with
you. He can win you games single-handedly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And then if they can get Ramos fit, obviously he's still not played yet. But if they can get even 80% of Ramos, that leader that he is, Donnarumma and Ramos, the two of them together, like you can imagine how commanding. And you got the blend of them Marquinhos, who unreal on the ball. They have got
Hakimi and Wijnaldum added in.
It is stacked, and like I feel like as I keep saying, with Mbappe going in the summer, this is their final big chance, because I think Mbappe, obviously, he is unreal for them, and he's, as you've seen again, as I keep going back to that Bayern game, he is something that they can then play a completely different style when they sit back, and he's an outlet, and he can play in so many different systems, and that's why I'm obsessed with Mbappe, and I could go on about him all day. But yeah, do you know what, actually, and the more I speak about, I'm going to go with PSG. I said it earlier in the year, and I feel like they always let me down. They let a lot of people down because we've said it for so many years. Their squad has been unreal, but there's just something about that squad this year. They've finally got leaders, players who will really fight for the club, because you always saw those individuals, those flair players and things, but they've now blended that with some real like grit, if you know what I mean, and some proper players who have done it for many years.
And it's experience as well, isn't it?
They've got Champions League winners in that side. They've got a Euros winner. They've got the Golden Glove. So literally straight away in there. A guy who's averaging, is it not 60 or 70% saving accuracy? It's like things like that, little things that will just help them edge and throughout the tournament. I'm really excited. The more I watch them play as well in the Champions League, they're just exciting to watch, because they can be so hit and miss. They'll be off the ball for half an hour. In that 5 minutes with the squad they've got, you saw it against Man City, they can just flick it on. A flick of a switch, they are a different.
They only need like one attacking motion, really. Like with the players they've got, they could be pinned in, being battered for 15 minutes, and then within one move, they're up the other end of the field and they've scored.
We've not even spoken about Di Maria, like another player that again they've got so much attacking force. Is unreal. But wow, I love the Champions League. I cannot wait for it this year. I think this year, it's because we've seen kind of the demise of Real Madrid and Barcelona, but I think this has then meant that some of these other sides have really come to the forefront, and it's quite exciting to see other powerhouses do well in Europe, in my opinion. I know, again, you being an Arsenal fan, you probably just want to see Arsenal there, so we'll leave it at that. Then, talking about potentially Arsenal, who do you believe then, now, looking at it, we've spoke about in the past, and now I think we've moved on a little bit, who is going to qualify for the Champions League and the Premier League this year, if we were predicting it now, with everything that's going on?
Yeah. Well, the top three are obvious, aren't they? They're up there. They're clear. They're nailed on.
In what order do you think as well? I want to hear your top four, and I want to hear it in order, just because I want to be harsh, because as much as we can say they're nailed on, they are nailed on, but no one knows the order, and I just want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
And I'll give you mine as well.
I originally thought Liverpool would win the league. I don't anymore. I just think it's that the depth. I'm going to go City, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then obviously the fourth, I've been looking at it. I think there's four teams that realistically can get it.
I want to hear your...
West Ham, Spurs, Arsenal, and Man U.
Okay, that's the four I've gotten written down as well.
Yeah.
So all right.
And I'm gonna go through them. Man U, I think, big ask, especially now you're putting Carrick in charge. That's probably written off another 5 games, something going up to the Christmas period. I think that there'll be a chance, and I think Ronaldo's goals and the quality they've got around the side, if they do have an upturning form, they've got a chance, but from where I am at the moment, I can't see it.
Okay.
West Ham, fantastic.
You're leaving Arsenal.
Fantastic start to the season.
Yeah.
But Europa League football, when that gets to the knockout stages, I don't think they've got enough depth to be playing Thursday, Sunday, and keep the results going that they are. Because the group stage is a completely different animal in that tournament. Talking from experience, you can put out the second 11 in the group stages and win every game. As soon as the Champions League teams drop in, it's competitive. It's hard. You've got 2 days rest and you're into a Premier League game, and then you back on planes. It is hard. So I think West Ham will fall away. I think they will get Europe.
Okay, and who's the next club you're going to talk about?
and that leaves us and Spurs, and I can only pick one card. So it's got to be the Gooners. Come on, you Gooners.
I was actually thinking I was like, he's going to leave Spurs and Arsenal just so he can make a little dig about Spurs.
No, I am worried about Spurs under Conte just because of how good Conte is and how, like, he's shown it over and over again. He could turn them into a proper side. It's whether he gets money, because the squad needs reinforcing there. But I've got to go with Arsenal. He was never in doubt, really, was he? I've got to believe.
Okay, I get why you're potentially talking about them, because at the moment, obviously, bar this weekend, because that top three we've spoken about are on another level. So I don't think you can really take that game into account, because we've seen Liverpool absolutely destroy Man United. I know they struggle against West Ham, but I think those top three are on another level. They're that next step up.
You can see the difference in class, can't you? When those three play compared to the rest of the league, there is just a big gap in between.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go in with my opinions now. I agree with a lot of the things you've said, and I'm going to quickly go through my opinions on all four quickly. So West Ham, I completely get what you're saying. They are going to struggle with depth, but I don't think, I've just got a sneaky feeling that this European run for them, it will end soon. I think when you're looking at the squads in Europe, I don't think they can compete with a lot of these, because as you said, when we talk about depth, it depends if they get a nice run.
On the draw.
Yeah. But I've just got a feeling, because we're all discussing about everything that's going on with them, and I think they potentially could be looking at that Champions League spot, because it is up for grabs right now. They stepped up to Europa League, but that Champions League spot is really very much wide open. So it'd be interesting to see who they get in the draw and whether they do drop out quite early. Because if they do drop out early, then I think they potentially could be the favourite. But Tottenham, I did say Conte wouldn't fit. But then when you saw them this weekend, I know they made tough work of Leeds. But when have we seen Tottenham in the last year maybe come back from 1-0 down against a side like Leeds? This is completely against Tottenham. Whereas Tottenham usually bottle these games. When they go 1-0 down, you don't often see Tottenham come back and win games. And when I say they win games, they didn't deserve, like, the goals they scored weren't great either. It was like a proper like gritty win, if you know what I mean, which we haven't seen that with Tottenham. Do you agree with what I'm saying there? Do you get slightly where I'm coming from? It's not a normal Tottenham win. This is
I didn't see their game, to be honest, because I just didn't want to watch them win.
Well, if you see the goal, for example, the Reguilon goal, it's like a comeback. I can't remember if the keeper saves it. It comes back off the post from a free kick, and it's just a tap in, and it's like the following in, and the atmosphere then kind of just went through the roof, and the players looked like it was just, oh my word, we've come back, because that's not something Tottenham have done for so long, because they are known as a club that bottles it. We take the mick out of them for losing these kind of games where they're expected to win, but they've gone into a game, they've gone 1-0 down, and they've actually come back. I can't believe they actually came back. I wasn't watching the game, I was on my phone at the time. I remember seeing them going 1-0 down and just presuming, oh, great, they're going to lose 3-1 or something, because that is the Tottenham way, usually. And we've seen it for so long. So they're going to be one side, which I think it's too early to call with them to say top four. But if they carry on, if they do this a couple of times, then Conte will make that machine get top four easily, because we've spoken about it. So
I am a bit worried about them.
I think it's too early to call. I can't do it off one game, so I'm not going to back Tottenham. And then we've spoken about Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal right now they will before this weekend, they were playing some lovely football. But my only problem with Arsenal, and don't take this personally, It's the style of play. Sometimes I understand like you're trying to build this pattern and playing out from the back, but we saw against Liverpool, you're playing yourself into issues like Tavares giving away that ball for that Jota goal, the second goal, and things like that. And I think that when you compare it to a side like West Ham, they don't play themselves into these mistakes. There's a lot of individual errors which could be cut out if you change your philosophy and style of play, but because of your bigger picture and the process, and eventually this system will be unreal if you carry on, but it's going to take time. And I think across the season, I think those mistakes could make you slip down slightly, not into that top four.
One, like we saw against Liverpool, obviously we didn't cover ourselves in glory, but it was that reluctance to go long, wasn't it?
That's what I'm trying to
continue to play out. I think that is partially because of the squad we've got at the moment. There is no target man. There's no one. There's no out ball. There's nothing. And then when you look at the names we've been linked with, because we need a striker and we have been linked with strikers, they're big bodies. So Isak from Real Sociedad, the Swedish.
Oh, I love him.
And then
I was obsessed with him.
Vlahovic from Fiorentina. They're all big bodies, which I think we need. We need a proper striker.
Yeah.
You can bounce the ball off. You can give him a 50-50 every now and then. And I think if January's a big ask to go and spend a lot of money, but if we did, I think that would put us in a much better position.
But I can't see you doing that. That's not.
No.
It's not the Arsenal way, is it? Really spending big like that. We've seen you do it in the past, and I can't see that happening again.
We haven't got Aubameyang though.
Look at a big player that you can play it up to, I think would be huge for you. It's that plan B, isn't it? So if you are in trouble, you have got the ability to knock it long, and that reluctancy to play it long, I think will hurt you in some games, because you do play yourself into errors and play yourself into mistakes and then concede silly goals, which could be eradicated quite easily if you knock the ball long. But that is the way you want to play, and I understand it's quite clear a style of play. And I respect the club trying to do it, but I just don't think across the course of a season that will get you top four. But I think in the bigger picture, in a couple of seasons' time, if you carry on these young players that are coming through with you, potentially in a few years' time, you could easily be in that top four, because we've seen the likes of the young players coming through, even players like Lokonga, who has struggled in some weeks, but you've seen flickers of moments. These guys are very young. You've got the youngest average squad for the season. And I think that will hurt you later on in the season as well, because you do need a couple of players who are experienced. And that's my only worry for you. So personally, I don't think you're going to get top four. And I'm going to say West Ham. I'm not even going to discuss Man United because we've discussed them loads already. I think West Ham could make the top four. And I know that's very controversial. It's really out there. I just don't think this European push is going to go on. I've just got a feeling they're going to get a really hard draw, and then they're going to focus on the league. And then they're looking at signing Jesse Lingard. They think that's going to go through in January for 10 million, because his contract negotiations with United have stalled. If they buy a couple of players to add to that squad, they've got a really nice system, a really good manager who knows what he's doing. I think they could push for that top four. So I'm going to go as my fourth spot. I'm going to lock in West Ham just to be a bit different. That's my fourth spot. So we've got Arsenal and West Ham. I think they're two good shouts, really. I
would just want to add, it would be great as a football fan to see West Ham actually do that. Like, it would. A club like them when they left thingy, I forgot what it's called, Upton Park. There we go.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. I thought you were going to get I could see you again.
The fan base was like fuming, see everything they've gone through. To now have a team that like they can all get behind. They're in Europe and challenging for the top four. It would be like just a good footballing story.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like similar to that Leicester whole thing, where not to the level. I know you don't like that story, but it's not to that level. But it is quite a nice. It's a neutral story, and everyone would love to see West Ham do it. Like the neutrals will love it, unless you support a big six side. Really, you're backing West Ham. You want West Ham to do well. Okay, then let's talk about this top three. I'm going to lock mine in straight away. I want to get it out because it's killing me inside. I've had to hold it in for this long. My top three going straight away. Chelsea third, straight away. And I know it's controversial. Everyone's saying Chelsea, look at how well they're doing. I watched them and they play very well, but they have moments in certain games, like against Brentford, that one game I watched them. When it's not working, it's the system just I don't like the three at the back system when I'm watching them. I think it can be extremely negative in some games. I know obviously they've got results and they've been doing absolutely unreal, but it's something personally that's off for me. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, and obviously they're doing so well. And it's something with Thomas Tuchel that I'm not entirely convinced. And I don't think when you compare their squad, that starting 11, I think the squad is unreal, but when you compare that starting 11 to Man City and Liverpool, I don't think it's even competing.
Agreed.
And I think soon a lot of clubs will find them out. The space down down the sides. Chilwell cannot defend. I think Reece James isn't the best defender either. I think these two players, for some reason, no one's picking them out. No one's going for them. No one's gunning for them. Whereas Brentford did. Brentford were fast, get the ball long, get the ball down the channels, and you get bodies up there. They will make mistakes because they have got players in, not Christensen. Christensen has made mistakes in the past, and they will make mistakes again. Rudiger has been he makes mistakes occasionally, does some really irrational decisions. And I think they've got that three at the back tax at the moment, but I can't see them making. I don't know if that's a really ridiculous pick because obviously they have been doing so well. But then I think it's not so much that they're not good enough. I just think Liverpool and City are just unreal. They've been consistent for so long, and that's the difference. We've seen them do this for so long because every year we're like, can City and Liverpool keep it up? They keep it up every year. So I'm going to then go Liverpool second, and then I think Man City will win the league because I think Man City's squad this year is unreal. And watching that game against Everton and watching them throughout the season, it's when you just remember, you're looking at that front three they were playing when they're playing that Palmer up top, who looks absolutely unreal. They then got Foden, and then they had Sterling, and you think that's not even their normal front three. Like the amount of the fact they can just swap that out. Then you've got Mahrez, Fran Torres, Gabriel Jesus. Who else have I missed? Grealish. There's so many players going forward, and I think that attacking
Grealish wasn't in the squad Sunday.
No, that's it's that strong a squad that they can just do that. So I'm going to lock in Man City as my title favourites for me. I just think watching them, what they do, and it's the defence this year. Laporte and Diaz look so strong. It is unreal. Defensively right now, I think they've looked the strongest they have done. And it's Cancelo as well. I could talk about their defence and Kyle Walker. I think the blend they've got right now, the balance, is the best I've seen them play. So I'm going to lock in Man City as my top of the league. Who are you saying then? What's your top three order?
I've done it. We did it.
You did it
earlier.
You did, didn't you? I didn't say mine though, did I?
City.
I've just
City.
You did say City as well, didn't you?
I'll go City, Chelsea.
Sorry,
Liverpool.
you did. I just had a moment there. I've even written it down. I glanced at my notes and I'm like, I've asked you, but it's right there in front of me. I'm sorry, I had a moment there. Ignore me entirely. I didn't say my team, did I? No. Top four. Phew. If I had done that then, I'd have really lost. I'm glad you would have told me though, wouldn't you? You'd have just gone, what the hell are you doing? It's been a long day, guys. It's a Monday. This is the problem with recording on a Monday. We're just like, by the end of this, we're absolutely spent. But now, after this, I nearly did forget, we are going to be doing left backs, where we were building this perfect team. And Mike did tell me this, but we've both made notes on left backs that I've just skipped the centre backs. But this is the way we're building our teams. We've done our best goalkeepers. We've done the best manager. We've done the best right back. We're skipping centre backs for the time being because I did mess up. We're going to go for the best left backs in the Premier League. Who are you saying? If you I can see you've made a list because you keep glancing at it. Who would go on then? You read out the players, and I'll go straight in with mine. Then I'll let you come straight in after because I need to get mine off my chest again.
Got top four of Chilwell, Tierney, Shaw, and Robertson, and then I think from that there's one.
Can we not add Cancelo though as a left back? Because Cancelo is a left back in this system.
Yeah,
but he is in Man City.
Cancelo.
Because that's my opinion. I wanted to get that in there. So I'm going to go straight in then. Top five, Cancelo, however you want to say it. I keep changing because I don't know which one it is. He's unreal. I think what we've seen from him this season and last season, the form he is showing, the way he plays, he's a brilliant dribbler. He's got speed. He's strong. And his assists this season like that. I keep going back to Everton game that I watched yesterday because I was obsessed with watching. Have you seen the assist, the outside?
Yeah.
He was
the
so
angle
narrow
from behind is just bent it.
It's ridiculous. How on earth to have the vision to be doing that from the left-hand side because he's not strong with his left foot, but he's brilliant on that right foot. He uses the outside of his boot like it's absolutely nothing. And I love him. I think he's brilliant, especially going forward. But then this year, I think he's added more defensively because that was the only problem I had for him when he first joined. Because obviously when he was at Juve, he wasn't the reason why they weren't too pleased with him at Juve. And they were weren't that reluctant to get rid of him was defensive frailties. Oh, I struggle with that word. But I think this season right now, I don't know if it's because of the centre backs he's got with him, but he looks so strong defensively. And what he adds to the team when he comes in that inverted centre mid, he just adds so much. It is not your most conventional left back, but I really like it. I'm usually against a right footer playing on that left hand side, but he's made that position his own. And right now, I don't think it's even a competition. I know you're probably going to come in now with somebody different, but I can't.
And to be honest, I completely overlooked Cancelo and completely forgot about him. And it would be Cancelo if I had remembered him.
If you'd remembered, let's pretend you didn't you're not talking about. Who had you put out those top four? Because it'd be interesting then to see who else.
It would have to be Robertson for the consistency and just what he gives Liverpool on that left-hand side. The other three are good, but they haven't reached that level yet where week in, week out, they're performing.
Especially Shaw. I think Shaw is, and I say this with my chest, he is the most overrated player in the Premier League, and I will stand by this. This guy did well at the Euros, and I don't think he brings enough. I know, I will stand with it. He's the most overrated, I will say it again, overrated player in the Premier League. Clip that up. He doesn't do it enough. I don't like him personally. I think he finds himself in that awkward position where he does drive forward, but he never seems to be there. He suited well in the England system because he was playing slightly different, but in this Man United system where he bombs forward and then he defensively looks poor this season, especially the amount of errors he's been making this season. He doesn't look half the player. And I think we've all got this recency bias where we're all looking at him in the Euros. And yes, he was unreal for England. I get quite passionate about it.
I think you can't judge Man U defenders based on what we've seen this season because it is just an absolute calamity at the back. We saw Maguire this weekend, and Maguire gets his stick, but he's a decent enough Premier League player, and he was just absolutely awful.
But then you think
everything he did, it was wrong, and I think it must have been the way Solskjaer's set them up because I don't think there was any tactics defensively.
Well, there was no cover for that defence. There was never that. There was never that block in front of them, was there really? With McFred, there was no cover.
No, and they've just been I think they've kept it's either 1 or 2 clean sheets this season when they were keeping loads last season.
Yeah, and last season Shaw was brilliant. I get that, but I think he wasn't brilliant in the seasons before. He's had one good season, really. He's had average seasons, and I will stick by it. But I do think I get what you're saying with the Man United defence. It is because of their midfield being so. They're not. There's no. It's like they don't think about defending. So then, Man United and that back four have got to not only mark the midfielders coming on. It's then those centre midfielders who are driving with those late runs. There's so many players running at them. I do feel for them, but at the same time, Shaw can't. I don't think Shaw's even in the discussion for the best left backs in the league. And I know that's quite controversial, but I don't think he.
As I was thinking about them, those 4 stood out to me, but there's not really a lot else. And as I said, I completely forgot about Cancelo. If he's in the position of left back, he is by far the best. There was Digne. He's a good player, but he's not he's looked poor this season for Everton. He hasn't quite been delivering the same. And then after that, it gets a bit dire, really.
Yeah, the kind of the levels. I do think. I don't think the fullbacks. It's the same with the right backs. They're not. There aren't that many. There's that small group at the top, but the rest of the league, it's. I think it's the next generation. This new style of fullback. I think it's transition because we're seeing a lot of new kind of players coming through, youngsters. I think the position has changed in the last even 5 years. I do believe right back.
They're like ex-wingers now, aren't they? They're like wingers turned into defenders, taught how to defend, but they've still got the pace and attacking, ability of a winger.
They're like right. They're basically right wing backs and left wing backs playing in a back four because the amount of it's a lot of clubs are more focused on going forward. You look at your Burnleys and clubs like that. Those are the real typical old school left backs. Getting fullbacks, getting that ball in early. I think in a few years' time we will see a new crop of young players coming through. But I do think this is the transition where the position has changed. I don't know. I can't pinpoint the first moment the fullback changed. I think potentially Carl Walker was one of those players who kind of early
Brent's
on.
probably the big one, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's revolutionised it, especially
Yeah.
when because of the assists he brings because he has normalised. We said it on the previous pod, I think he has normalised that 10+ assists a season. Like we just expect it. And when you look at when we spoke about that best Premier League team of the decade on the last episode, none of those players were even getting near that level, were they? A season, maybe your Leighton Baines shout, but
Big up Leighton Baines.
I'm not going to make a little comment about that every episode. No, I still find that hilarious. I love it. I don't know why I enjoy that so much. It just makes me laugh every time.
He was a player.
He was a player, but I just can't believe he got into your team of the decade. It just still makes me howl. I don't know why. I just find it really funny. But I need to put that team out. So I'm going to put both of our teams out, by the way, this week. You tell me a day now, and I will put it up. I'll put it out on the socials. Just because I thought you'd be scared, because I'm confident. If I put it out any day of the week, my team will get more votes.
You shouldn't be, because I've got Aguero and Rooney, and you've got Harry Kane. So
Harry Kane and David Silva.
Well, I've won.
We'll wait and see, won't we? We'll put it out, and if Mike wins, we won't hear about it again on the podcast. But if I win, it'll be the opener next week. I'll intro, just giving it the big one, top off round the room, screaming. But now I think we've covered all of our topics there. Is there anything you want to add before we finish on up?
No, I haven't actually prepared a curveball for you this week.
Phew. I know you always do it. One curveball I'd like to say is, Mike, and because we don't talk about the Championship with you, do you think West Brom will get promoted?
I think West Brom will finish third, and then you never go up in the playoffs, so no.
Yeah, that's one of
you'll go up next season automatically because you'll invest in your squad a bit. I said this to my mates at the pub the other day. Baggies fans have got this expectation with getting a new manager in and possibly like Alex Mowat and being freshly come down from the Premier League to go straight back up. But if you haven't spent a single penny on your squad other than loan and free transfers, you can't expect to compete with Fulham and Bournemouth and possibly a few others. You need to spend money. That's how you get out of the Championship. You spend money. And
I just don't think our owners don't like the risk of spending money and then not getting promoted, because you've seen some clubs who have tried that way and then it really puts you in the mud, like Derby. Derby spent a lot of money and went for that push.
You've got that foundation as
I know, I agree.
Has been in the Premier League regularly.
I agree. We should be able to do it, but for some reason, the owners and the board are reluctant to do that. We have invested in a lot of free transfers, but I think we've got a good first team. I think that's our problem. We keep talking about depth. I don't think there's enough depth. But I'm going to stick. More. We do need more, but I still think we're going to stay. I think we'll still go up. I'm staying it every week. Just so if I keep saying it enough, surely I'll manifest it into happening. Like if I just keep saying it's going to happen, I'm hoping it will happen. And it seems to be every time I've said it, since I said it on that episode, our form has dipped horrifically. So I feel like if I keep saying, should I just try and change my psychology and just start saying we're not going up? I don't know what I want anymore. No, I'm not going to say that because I can't say that. The Baggies are going up. We're going to get second. I'm going to change my one opinion. No, of course I'm not. Bournemouth are going to win the league. West Brom second. Fulham aren't going to get promoted. I get so much stick for this. I get Fulham fans in my
Fulham
DMs.
might get 100 points.
Mate, honestly, they probably will do. And I have a Fulham, there's about 4 Fulham fans now that come into my DMs every single Saturday, just saying good luck every single week. And then they remind me of the Fulham score. And then they tell me the West Brom score. And it really ruins my Saturday. Every week, I'll be stood at a cold non-league game. West Brom have just lost 1-0 to Huddersfield. And then I've got a little, I don't know how old they are, these Fulham fans, because they've got Fulham badges as their profile photos, and they just go, West Brom did well this week. So I want to win, and I can't wait to DM you guys. I cannot wait to rub it in your face. We're getting the promotion, and you are not. Sorry, I needed to get that out. There's no other way I could say that to them. I had to just use this platform. I'm sorry. That was a lot of passion there. Oh, I need to sit back and relax now.
Yeah, you need to get back on your fence.
Oh no, I'm about to say I have kind of come off the fence a bit this week. I spoke about Chelsea not getting promotion. No, it's a promotion. Chelsea not getting the top 2. That's pretty. I've said West Ham getting top 4. Quite controversial. Man City or PSG, Champions League. I think right now I'm firmly off the fence. Well, I don't know the phrase then. in the field. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But I'm off the fence. I'd probably say right now you're probably more so on the fence than I am. You're not though, are you? You're not really.
Not really.
I was trying to press a button and it didn't work. But I think we've done it. No curveballs. Have you thought of anything in this time?
No, I just want to say, as we're coming to the end of the podcast, Ollie, it's been a great ride. I will miss you dearly. And I wish you all the best in your future career. I hope someday you come back to Man U and give me as much joy as the club has given you. Thank you.
And I'd like to send one message to Ollie. If you are struggling for a career, there's always a space as a co-host. We will happily push Mike aside. If you want the role. Here. Actually, it'd be quite fun having the three of us on. I think he'd suit what we could get him in a bucket hat. I think he'd suit a bucket hat. I don't know why. I feel like he would look good. But thank you, Mike, again for coming on for your hat trick. Sam. We'll see you again next week, and we potentially could be laughing at all of our predictions. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If you haven't already, please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen on, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Amazon, whatever you listen on, please follow us. Like, comment, subscribe for on YouTube. And if you haven't already, go check out Mike's shop. He sells football shirts. The link is always in the description. Go click it, go follow, and go buy some shirts because he deserves it. Look at his face. He just
off in the first week, but
I did forget to put it in. I put it in after about 2 days. I did forget, but I have done every day since. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. BucketHatSam over and out. Goodbye. Up the baggy.